My name is Robert Swain, and I'm from Arkansas, originally from Altus, Oklahoma. That's where I was born. And, yeah, okay. I've been interested in this for a long time. When I was in high school, when I was young and skinny, I went squatching for the very first time down in Fouke, Arkansas, by myself, and literally scared myself silly. Every splash, every noise was something coming to eat me. And so after that weekend, I said, this isn't for me. I'm not going to do this anymore. So I was an armchair squatcher, probably like a lot of you. You know, you read about it, you watch the shows, but you never get out in the woods. And then on a father-son campout in 2006, my boy was just really little. He's taller than I am now, but he was really small. And we went to a place, and as he slept, I laid in the tent and listened to rock clacks for about 30 minutes. And clack, 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 for 30 minutes. And we were in a river bottom. I was saying, where are they getting rocks? This is all mud and trees down here. I don't know. And then I started thinking, what can pick rocks up and do this? And it really started sparking my interest some more, that maybe something could actually be here, and not just in California, not just in Washington State or Canada, but right here in our backyard. And so we jumped, we threw our hat in the ring, and we became field researchers again. And I've started a group in Arkansas called Arkansas Primate Evidence Society. We're just big hairy apes in the woods when we go in the woods. And so I wanted to present about some of the stuff that's happening there with us, and some of the stuff that's happened with this group right here, because they have adopted me, and they've been very gracious, letting me attend their expeditions and just treating me like one of their own, and I appreciate that very much. So let's go ahead and get started. First slide, okay? In the real world, I am a minister for the Church of Christ. My wife and son and I do missionary work. We're overseas about 4 months out of the year, different places. We just got back from the Dominican Republic and Ireland, and my boy is 17 and he's been in 28 countries. And so we just go wherever we're needed. And so that's kind of what I do. And then I've been a field researcher since 2007, and part of the Alliance of Independent Bigfoot Researchers and Apes. And I also am a cartoonist. I have one of my books here, Laugh Squatch cartoon. The second Laugh Squatch should have been out for this, but it's not. And I apologize about that. But I do have the Patty book that I illustrated in the Bigfoot Boot Camp handbook I also wrote. We have a boot camp that we do periodically in Arkansas, where families with kids can come and learn how to go squatching, learn how to make plaster casts, what to look for tree structure-wise or rock-wise, and different things in the woods. And so this book is a handbook for that, and it's a really good way to get started if you're interested in going squatching. Okay, Steve. I'm also working, this is hard to see, I'm also working on a book about Bigfoot in Arkansas. At the present time, thanks to Big Jim, I have roughly about 900 sightings in Arkansas from 1835 to 2015. And I'm looking for more. If you know of things that we could use in the book, please let us know. I'm not using anybody's names, okay? I don't want you to have a problem with people calling you up and hounding you. I'm not using names. I want locations. I want dates. I want what happened in the experience. And you can go from there. But that should be out also next year. Okay, DW. All right. I want 2 disclaimers before I get into my presentation. Could people be seeing bears in the woods? If you ran home and told your spouse, the love of your life, I just saw Bigfoot, what is she or he going to say? Don't you think it was probably a bear?
What you been drinking?
Yeah, or maybe that. But to think about it, that's the only other big hairy thing in our woods, isn't it? And so maybe, could be, a lot of people are seeing Bigfoot and are thinking, no, it can't be that, it must be a bear. Or some people may see a bear and say, oh, it's a Bigfoot. So, but I think a lot of people are seeing this and they're mistaking it as a bear. It's hard to see here, but in this one picture with the bear and the Bigfoot, on the bear, where are the shoulders? Where are the wide shoulders that the Cherokee elder talked about seeing? You know, he said it was about this wide, huge wide shoulders. Bears don't have that. Why? Because they're designed by God to be down on all fours. Those front legs are in front of their body and not to the side of their body, so they have no shoulders. What about the big ears that you see on the bear? No, you know, small ears to the side, if any, are ever talked about on Bigfoot. You know, what about can the bears walk on their hind legs? They can shuffle on their hind legs, but these people that are seeing Bigfoot say they glide. Remember what the elder said? It was so fast and smooth. They glide like a cross-country skier going through, and it's not a shuffling gait like a bear would be on its short hind legs. What about the snout over here? You see the long bear snout. On Patty here, there is no snout. It's a flat face. You don't see that snout on this. Even on the footprints. Over here on the Bigfoot footprint, you have the big toe and the other toes cascade down like our foot. On a bear, the big toe is the middle toe, and it cascades down on either side. Plus, you're going to have claws on every footprint that a bear will make. So even the footprints are not. I don't think people are seeing bears in the woods. I think this is a totally different animal that they're seeing just because of what they're witnessing here. Okay, DW. Okay, second disclaimer. Is Bigfoot dangerous? Any wild animal is dangerous or has the potential to be dangerous. About 3 years ago, I heard a report of a man being killed by a squirrel. He was sitting in his backyard feeding squirrels, and he put some nuts on his chest, and the squirrels would come up and get it. One squirrel became frightened, bit his neck, bit into his jugular vein, and he bled to death in his backyard, death by squirrel. So any animal can be dangerous. Deer hunters can be attacked by deer, can they not? Those hooves are sharp. You know, it's really something. So can it be dangerous? Yes. Bigfoot's not a Hollywood monster like that one back there. DW jumped. Everybody can turn around and look. All right. There he is. He did. I knew he was real. I knew he was real. Yeah. Only Big Jim could be that wide. It's got to be Big Jim. I don't know. Well, that's cool. Bigfoot is not a Hollywood monster like the Frankenstein monster or the mummy. There are breeding populations of these animals out there. You're going to see males and females and juveniles and experiences with all of that. So it's not just one animal out there. All animals can be dangerous. Bigfoot is the apex predator in the woods. If it looks like that, it has to be the apex predator. What does that mean? It has no natural enemies. Nothing's going to run up and take down a Bigfoot. These things are going to die of disease or old age or accident, but they're not going to be prey for anything else unless it's a man with a gun. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're really fearful of humans in the woods. Bigfoot is a meat eater. It's not a vegetarian. It's not one of these lovable friends in the forest that are going to walk up and give you a flower. It's a meat eater, and if you're not careful, you may be on the menu if it's the apex predator. You don't know that. So Bigfoot is a meat eater. All of the Native American tribes in this country have stories about these animals. Most of those tribes talk about these animals being cannibals. Not that Bigfoot eats other Bigfoot, but Brother Fox, Brother Deer, Brother Rabbit, Brother Squirrel, Brother Bigfoot are eating us. And so those stories, the Native Americans, Kathy Strain has a great book, Giants, Cannibals, and Monsters, about the Native American stories. And they feared these things. Most of the tribes truly feared these things. Reports of aggression and even fatalities in Bigfoot encounters have been reported over the years, and people disappear in the woods all the time, every year. I'm not saying everybody that disappears, Bigfoot got them, but let's be careful. Any wild animal can be dangerous. So when you go in the woods and you look, be alert, be safe, don't be stupid. Don't let it be the last stupid thing you ever do when you go in the woods, okay? Okay, my 2 disclaimers are over. Okay, DW. Okay, my group, Arkansas Primate Evidence Society, this is some of the stuff that's happened this year with us, DW. Okay, this is a composite of Arkansas. Right now, there's about 900 sightings there, there's 75 counties in Arkansas, and 74 have activity, Bigfoot activity. And so it's all over the state there. There's going to be around 400 sightings in the U.S. this year of Bigfoot, reported. Now that's only reported. It's estimated that maybe there's 1 in 10 that actually gets reported to the newspaper or to a website or someplace like that. So that means there's many, many more sightings actually happening that are not being reported. And get this, if out of all of those, if only 1 report is real, then Bigfoot is real. That's really sobering when you start thinking about that. If only 1 report is real, then we've got a real hairy monkey running around in our woods, and we need to find it. All right, DW. Man, here's some audio recordings I want you to listen to. The first one is tree knocks up about 800 feet above our camp on a mountainside at about 3 o'clock in the morning. Go ahead. DW. Oh, go back. You said you wanted to do that. Yeah. Could you hear that tree knock sound? Yes, no?
Oh,
maybe?
yeah.
Yes.
Maybe? Okay. All right. This vocalization happened at Monkey Island. We name our research areas. Everybody wants to go to Monkey Island for some reason. It just sounds like a fun. I don't make shirts, Monkey Island, resort or whatever. But this happened in 2013. Okay, I put this in there for a reason. Go ahead, DW. No. Good. Okay. Did you hear that? Okay, that's cool. I put that one in there because of this next one that happened this year. We were on one ridge line. There's a valley between us, and the sounds were coming from the opposite ridge line. And I apologize, this is about 4 minutes long, but I want you to listen to the discourse that's going on between us and whatever this is. And from what you heard at Monkey Island, it's the same thing. Okay, go ahead, DW. That's me. I was excited about that. that's me. I think there were actually two animals, one farther away and one closer, and they were just having a conversation there. I have a good friend named Frankie that does a great whoop, and he does a whoop, and it replies, and then at the very end, he was about to do another whoop, and in the process, he swallowed a bug. And I say he laid an egg, because that's kind of what it sounds like. And immediately, when he did that, all activity stopped. It's like these things realized, oh, you're not what I thought you were. And it just stopped, but we couldn't get a response after Frankie laid the egg. We can stop that, DW. That goes on for about 5 minutes, just the discourse between us making a call and then it making a call back. I don't know if there's a breeding cycle for these things. I don't know if it thought it found a girlfriend or not. If that's the case, I'm certainly glad it didn't find me. I don't know why it was doing this, but it was a discourse back and forth. This was really, really exciting. And okay, rock clacks. Listen to the echo of these things. That happened this year also at Monkey Island. And so there's all different things that you listen for at night. These calls and hoots and howls and grunts and screams and rock clacks and wood knocks and a lot of evidence that you can find with little tape recorders. You just hang out in your trees, even in your backyard if you live in a rural area. So I would encourage you to get involved with that. Also, I want to put, I have just a little thing down here, audios of tree knocks and calls from the Falk expedition that happened January of this year are on YouTube under Swain clips. Larry Parks and Dave Jett were gracious to put those up, and I think they're really intriguing there. All I did is put the recorder out, and they did the rest. So I would encourage you to see that on YouTube under Swain clips. Go ahead, DW. McCurtain County, just south of us, tree markers. This tree up here had 4 logs laid over the top of the tree and made the bow. Is there a reason for that? I don't know. Maybe they're just bored. Maybe it's a territorial marker. Maybe it's something that the juveniles do. I don't know. But whatever it is, it's made. Those 4 trees were moved. You can even see the rotted part where it had been laying on the ground another place, and it's been taken over, put on top of this tree and stacked up. This tree bow right here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different young trees bent together, and the tops are woven together to make an archway. So it's something that's constructed. There's no other things around it this way that weather could make in that way. It's something that's constructed. DW? I keep a journal of all the stuff that happens when we go out and do little sketches and little maps and stuff like that. And you'll see several of these in my presentation. May 2015, up at Deer Run, had our first true out in the open witness of one of these creatures. There was a young man in his mid-20s. He's in the Marine Corps. He's a medic. He was on leave, and this is his second time out with us. And he saw something dart across the road, right, I don't know if you can see this right here, but right here where this arrow is, there's through the trees, it darted across the road, and we are right here where our encampment is. It ran on all 4s. He said that the front legs was just hitting the ground as it was going across, and it was just almost a blur. He said it was on all 4s, and it had to be at least 5.5 feet tall. bent down that far. So it probably we're looking at an 8 to a 9 foot animal that came across. It was reddish brown in color. So, okay? Outside looking in. I told DW I wanted to do this presentation for a while, and this is my experiences. Did you ever go back in the day to somebody's house and they showed you their vacation slides or their home movies? You know, this is kind of like that, okay? But this is expeditions that I've gone on with this group, the MABRC. And some of the stuff happened just right here in this county. And most of it happened right here in this county. But this is the stuff that happened to me that I recorded in my journal that I wanted to share with you guys today. I cannot thank the MABRC enough for their graciousness, for sharing the information that they have, and for allowing people like us to be a part. There are groups out there that wouldn't allow us to go on expeditions with them. But MABRC are good people. They're good folks. And if you're interested in this, and truly interested in this, they probably want to talk to you. Okay, let's go ahead. January 10, 2010, MABRC expedition right here in this county. Me and Frankie came, and I don't know if they didn't know us or we didn't know them, but DW put us all by ourselves in one place. It was on a hillside overlooking a small rural graveyard that was right next to a river. And me and Frankie were up there on this hillside, and late one night I went to throw some stuff out. We had some beans, and Frankie scorched them, and I didn't want them, so we're going to throw them out. And I looked straight across. The hill was going down. There were trees. I looked straight across, and I saw eye shine. Something was up in a tree that was level with us. It was up in a tree like this, and it was looking straight across at our camp. And I yelled for Frankie, and Frankie came out, and he was holding his mag light on it, and we were discussing which one was going to go down to the base of the tree and look up and see what it was. I lost the bet, and so I had to go down. But this thing, we could see a black form, and the tree was really interesting because the top of it looked like it had been broken out, and there were small limbs coming out, and there was a perch right up there at the top of this tree. And there was a black form up there. That's all you can see. You can see that goldish orange eye shine up there. And when it realized that we were looking at it, it started rocking back and forth like this up there. Then you can see it go up, and then it would crouch way down, and it would rock back and forth again. And finally, when I started walking down towards the tree, it swung down from that perch behind the tree, and it peeked out at me. I knew then that it wasn't a big owl, because owls don't do that. Something jumped to the side of that tree, and then it peeked out. And by the time I got down to the base of that tree, it had already come down the tree and was gone. So something was up there. It may have been a juvenile. I have no idea to determine how big it was, but it was big enough to be seen in the dark for quite a distance. So that was our first experience, me and Frankie. The tree climber spied on our camp, and there goes Frankie right there in our camp that night. All right, DW? My first blob squatch happened in August 2010 in Adair County. I was so proud of this. My grandparents lived in Jackson County, Oklahoma, and when I would go to visit them, sometimes I would just stop in certain places that I knew that it had activity, and Adair is one of them. And I went down to the river, and I was walking around, I was all by myself, and I heard that brush pop, that breaking of limbs that were happening, and I turned away from it, and I looked the opposite direction, and I was taking pictures over my shoulder, that direction. And there was this picture, and I blew it in, and that's what you see right here. And I don't know if you can see it very well or not, but it's almost a profile. There's a head, there's a shoulder, there's an arm, and the body comes down right here. And it's even harder to see over here. I thought it would be more clear than this. But there's a head, a shoulder, and an arm. That's why they call them blob squatches, because you just don't have any definition there. But something was there. And like Ron said, go back, and so the next time I was there, I went back and I couldn't find a limb there. I couldn't find any structure there. So this might have been what was making the popping sounds. My first wild squatch, August 2010. All right, DW. Honavi, Oklahoma, May 26, 2012. This is an audio recording. We would drive up, Christ 40 Acres is right here, and we would drive and we'd go up the mountain, and the MABRC camp was right here. A lot of you guys are probably there that weekend. If you knew where Lim and his dad camped on that next corner, that's where Frankie and I were at this time. And we drove up this road, and you can see where I'll post where I deploy the different recorders. So when I hear something, I can go back and look on the map. Oh, it was there, so I need to check this recorder to see if I caught it on that one as well. And we went up down this road, and there was a dry creek bank. And this is the picture of the creek bank up here. Lots of rocks. The sides are about 10 feet tall on both sides. There's little pools of water, and it was very rough. And I hung my recorder about 500 feet from the road up a little game trail, and it was hanging right over this creek. And about 1:30 in the morning, this is what we caught. DW, can you click on that? Okay. This is not a car. There's no motor. Whatever that was, traveled down that creek bed, tossing rocks aside. It may have been looking for salamanders or frogs or snakes or whatever, but you could hear the rocks bounce. And as it got closer to the recorder, it got louder, almost a rock cascade going through. And if you listen really close, there's 3 or 4 grunts in there. If you'll hear the grunts as it's throwing these rocks through, and then it passed the recorder and kept going on until it wasn't there anymore. And that's really exciting when you catch something like that. All right, that's Honavi, May 2012. You know. All right, October 6, 2012, right here in Adair County. When you go squatching, always go with a dirty car. And this is the reason. If you see in this picture right here, I had my tent, and I always, if there's going to be a group, I always try to put my tent farther away from the group, because maybe something will come up to my tent because it's not in a group. And so I did that here. I had the tent, and I had my car parked here, and down the hill was where a lot of other tents were, and they had a roaring bonfire, and they were hooping and hollering and having a good time, like the MABRC always does. And they were down there, and I went to bed because I'd been up most of the night before, and I was sleeping, and something came between my tent and my car and used my car as a blind, and it was looking down the hill at where the fire was and where they were yelling and carrying on down there. And what it did is it left a handprint that's 11 inches long on my car. The next night, Dave back here at the registration table had a handprint on his car as well. I think probably from the same animal. But it went like this, and then it went like this, and you can see where it had curled its fingers up right here, And then when it moved away, it kind of left 2 finger marks as it moved away. I was so excited about this because, you know, if I had gone with a clean car, I would have never known that happened. And something probably looked in my tent at me. And that gave me pause for a second, and I got excited about that as well. So, 2012, 11-inch handprint on my car hood. DW. February 2013, expedition here in this county, Adair County. I always try to put out 4 cameras, A, B, C, and D, when I go out. 4 different places, and I let them record all night, and then I'll put them in Audacity, like was talked about today, and I'll listen to those and find these calls or grunts or wood knocks. And this one day I was remiss in getting them out. It was almost sundown, and Big Head, I think, had borrowed DW's 4-wheeler. And he said, "I'll take you out." And so I got on the back of the 4-wheeler with Big Head, and we drove out to these different places. And one of the places was right across the road from where the bridge is, the bridge road. And there's a right-of-way, a utility right-of-way up there with the big highline wires. And I hung my recorders by lanyards, and I'd wrap it around the limb and clip it on there, and I would let them record all night. And recorder C was up on a little tree close right next to that right-of-way. The next morning, him being a coach, he was going to go practice, and so he said, "I've got 15 or 20 minutes, let's go get your recorders." And it was dawn. And so we went out there, found all the recorders except recorder C. Recorder C was not to be found. In fact, the branch that I hung the recorder on was not there. The branch had been broken off of the tree, and we looked all over the ground for this branch, and the branch just wasn't there. Something had broken the branch off and carried it off with my recorder. Now, I would love to find that recorder now and just hear what was on it, but I have no idea where to look. We just couldn't find it. So I have retired C in my recorders. So I don't have a C anymore because it's out in Adair County somewhere. All right, DW. All right, this is September 2014, Oklahoma Symposium. This was last year. Where's Dave Jed? Is he here? Or is he? There he is. He's not even asleep yet. That's good. Well, he and I decided to stay. We were going to stay one more night. So we were here that Sunday night. I think it was a Sunday night. And nobody knew we were staying. And nobody knew where we were going to go. We didn't even know for a while. And we decided to go out to this spot that was close to the river. And it had rained. And that night it had become real foggy out there. And he was sleeping in his white car. And I was sleeping in my dark gray car here. And because of it was raining, our windows were up. And condensation was on the inside of my windows because I'm a big guy, I guess, and sleeping. And I was wrapped up because it was cold. I was wrapped up in my blanket, and it was foggy outside. And about 2 in the morning, you know when you wake up and you know something's happening and you're just not sure yet what's happening? I woke up that way, and then it dawned on me, my car is rocking from side to side. Like this, not real big, but just enough like somebody pushed on it or something. And I said, my car is rocking. And about the time that I thought that out loud, I heard that unmistakable clunk of my passenger door handle being lifted up and then being let go, and it fell back into place. Something in the fog at 2 o'clock in the morning at the end of a road near nobody was trying to get into my car. And for the very first time since 2007, I reached for my gun. I was truly afraid that something was going to happen to me. I was so glad that I had locked my doors, because I had no idea what would have happened had it opened. Whatever these things are intelligent. They observe and they know. There are orangutans that can watch you get in a canoe and paddle across a river, and then they'll get in a canoe and they'll paddle across the river. Animals are smart. They can figure things out like this. And these animals knew that if I manipulate that handle, that door will come open, and the cookies are in there. And so I think that that was actually what was happening. I could have been on the menu that night. I was scared to death, and bless his heart, Dave slept right through it. You know? We did have walkie-talkies, and I was so out of it, I didn't even think of even contacting him. The next day, I didn't get out of my car at all until sunrise. And then we got out and we started looking around, and the passenger side mirror was pushed in all the way in the car. I think it had come up and bumped my car and pushed that mirror in and made the car move. And then it was going for that door handle. And when I moved to reach for my gun, I could hear it run away. And that was one of the scarier things that has ever happened to me. DW? Okay. The very same night, this is hard to see, there's a lot of bamboo down there. And last year, my wife had given me bananas to eat for the potassium. You know, wives do that. And I forgot I left them in my car, and the car got hot, and they turned black. And I'm not going to eat a black banana. So I used it as squash bait. And so before the sun went down that night, we placed these bananas out in different places. And the next morning, Dave and I found this banana that there were no claw marks on it, there were no bite marks on it, but the banana peel had been split open from the side, and most of the banana was gone, except for this one little piece here that had been chewed up and left there. And so, pardon?
Spit out.
It probably doesn't like black bananas either, you know, but it spit it out. I took it home and I put it in a little box, and it's in my freezer right now because I don't know what to do with it. And I keep telling my wife, don't throw it away. Just don't throw it away yet. It might be important someday. But something opened that banana skin and took the meat of that banana out and ate most of it and spit some of it out. And that happened the same night that something reached for my car door.
DNA?
Maybe so. That's why I froze it, because I don't know what to do with it yet. I guess you can get DNA out of a banana. I don't know.
You can
So,
get it out of its saliva.
right. Okay, DW. All right. Vertical knuckle prints of Oklahoma Symposium. I have to admit that I did not find these, but I did help Big Jim and Larry Parks figure out how to cast something that was vertical. There were people that were down by the river, and something had come up at this little embankment here, right here. It was hiding behind this embankment, watching the people farther down on the trail. And it had left finger marks in the clay. You can see them come down, and then we can see where it had turned, and it had gone down on all fours, and it had left knuckle impressions in the dirt down there. You can see them up here. And this happened in this county as well. These are huge. These fingers are the size of bratwursts. You know, they're big, big hands. And we were able to cast right here the finger marks that were vertical here. And that happened in this county as well. DW. All right, January 2015, the Falk expedition. I was invited by MABRC members to go to Falk, Arkansas, and this time I was not scared to death, and I did go, and I was very brave, and I felt good about myself for being there. But one of the things that did happen is we found, and I can't even say we here, Big Jim. Where's Big Jim at? Oh, he's probably in that costume still. He's probably running up and down Main Street in that costume. That's probably where he's at. Or on somebody's hood already. But Big Jim, great researcher, great tracker, great friend. And I can't say that enough. He can find footprints under pine needles. It's just amazing how he can find these. And he started moving things over. He says, I have a footprint. And sure enough, you count them, and there's 5 toes there. And he goes up about 4 feet and says, here's another one. And goes up another 4 feet, and here's another one. And we cast 3 tracks that day right there at the Mercer Bayou. This is a track of the real Boggy Creek monster that's there. It's about 16 inches long. Just amazing. I was very excited. And also, it was at Mercer boat ramp, and we were at Smith Lake. If you ever want to go to Falk, Arkansas, and research, Smith Lake is a county-owned lake, and it doesn't cost anything to camp there. And it's very close to the bayou. You're going to have activity there, I'm sure. That's where I put the recorder out, and the Swain clips came from Smith Lake area, the wood knocks and the calls and the chatter. And so I can't thank Larry Parks and Dave and Jed enough for doing that. And that was January 2015. DW. Okay, May 2015, we were just north of Van Buren, and we did Silent Hill. Now, I'm not going to say a lot about it because I think it's going to be talked about, but it was an experiment where we had audio recordings and we were registering how loud those recordings were as we got farther away. When I've been in the woods before, when I would hear a call or a wood knock, I would think, oh, that could be a mile or 2 miles away. No. It's a lot closer than that. You know, something that I would have thought was 2 miles away is probably a quarter mile away. These things are much closer than you think when you start hearing something in the woods. And that was very sobering, I think, to all of us as we were thinking about that. But I was very fortunate enough that Apes played a part in this process. One of the things I will say is when we got about 300 or 400 yards away, we were standing there, and a large tree come about 50 yards into the tree line, comes crashing down. And we had been playing calls all day, it seemed like, with this response. And I think we called something in, and it got mad, and it pushed the tree over. Because later that same night, and right outside of our camp, a tree was pushed over or fell over. Now, trees just don't fall all the time. Something made that tree fall, and then something made that second tree fall right next to our camp. So I think we made something mad. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about that deal. Go to the next one. Okay, I want to put a plug in for the Arkansas Bigfoot Conference. We had our first one last year in April. The MABRC was a pivotal point in that process. They brought demonstration boards, and they had DW and Big Jim both speak at it. And I don't think we could have pulled this off without this group holding our hand through the whole process. I can't thank you guys enough. We're going to try it again on April the 23rd, 2016. Last year we had about 250 people. I'm hoping we have a lot more than that this time. And so please come if you can. Bologna is a little place, and this is a big thing in a little place, and it'll be a lot of fun. All right, DW. All right. If you know anything about Arkansas, please contact me or the Apes group, and I would love to talk to you about getting your story in the book before it goes to print. I'd love to have 1,000 reports from Arkansas before it goes to print. Wouldn't that be cool? I'd love to do that. All right, one more. Thank you, MABRC. You're good guys, and I'm very, very honored to be associated with you guys. I appreciate you very much.
Thank you.